Scroll, listen to me carefully. Some letters is not written in books. They're between a human and a horse. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Mr. West Legends, a place where stories carry the soul. Our promise is that there's no AI, no fake voices, and no robotics. Only humans sharing moments. Moments that stays in your heart forever. And our story is about love, survival, emotions, and a quiet bond, a relationship between a human and a Western horses. And in our channels, the horses become legends.
The horse fell on a Tuesday morning. Her back legs just stopped working. One moment she was walking, the next moment she was on the ground. Nobody moved to help her. That is the most important part of this story. Nobody moved. Her name was Storm. She was a gold-colored horse with a beautiful mane, but you could not see the beauty anymore because she was so sick and tired. Her bones showed through her skin like sticks under a blanket. Her eyes were open but empty. She looked like a horse that had forgotten how to be alive. The fall happened at Miller Ranch in Colorado. It was cold that morning. The sun was just coming up over the mountains. The ground was hard and frozen, and it hurt when Storm hit it. Blood came out of her leg where the skin broke open. The wound was not new. It was an old wound that had gotten worse and worse, a rope burn. From a rope they used to make her do things she did not want to do. The wound had never been cleaned or fixed. It just got darker and more infected every single day. When Storm fell, there were 5 people standing there watching. A man named Carlos was there. He was a ranch worker who did not own the horse. He just worked there and took money home every week. He saw Storm fall and he did nothing. He stood there and he watched. A woman named Jenny was there. She worked in the office. She had come outside to get some fresh air. She saw Storm fall and she turned around and went back inside. She did not call for help. She did not call a doctor for the horse. She just went back to her desk and she pretended she did not see it happen. A boy, maybe 14 years old, was there. He was working for the summer. When he saw Storm fall, he started to walk toward her to help. But then an older man yelled at him. The older man said, "Do not touch her. Do not get near her. She is dangerous." The boy stopped walking and he turned away. He let his hands drop. He could have helped, but he did not. The owner was there. His name was Richard Miller, and he owned the ranch, and he owned Storm. He was a big man with red skin from being outside in the sun too much. When he saw Storm fall, he did not look sad. He did not look worried. He looked angry. He looked at the horse on the ground, like she had done something wrong by falling. Like it was her fault. Like she was doing this to hurt him on purpose. Storm tried to get up. Her front legs pushed against the hard ground. Her muscles shook, but her back legs would not work. They just lay there. She tried 3 times. She pushed, and she shook, and she made sounds like she was hurting very bad. But she could not get up. After the 3rd time, she stopped trying. She just lay there on the frozen ground and she breathed, and that was all. Richard Miller walked toward her. When he got close, he did something that made the boy turn away completely. He did something that made Carlos look at his shoes. He did something that made Jenny very glad she had gone back inside because she did not have to see it. He kicked the horse. Not once, 3 times. Hard kicks on her body. Storm made sounds that were not horse sounds. They were sounds that meant pain, real pain, the kind of pain that goes all the way through you. "Get up," Richard said. He was not saying it to help. He was saying it with anger. "Get up, you useless animal, get up!" The horse could not get up. Her body would not work. But Richard did not care about that. He did not understand that sometimes bodies stop working and you have to help them. You have to be kind when they are hurt. You have to call a doctor. You have to do something besides kick them. He left her there. He just walked away and left her on the cold ground. He told Carlos to keep working and pretend it did not happen. He told Jenny to close the office door. He told the boy that if he said anything to anyone, he would not get paid, and he could not come back. Then Richard went inside his house, and he had coffee, and he did not think about Storm again that morning. Storm lay on the frozen ground for 6 hours. No one brought her water. No one brought her food. No one brought her medicine for the infected wound. The sun came up higher, but it was still very cold. Storm just lay there, and she breathed, and she hurt, and she waited to see if this was how she was going to die. On a cold Tuesday morning at a ranch in Colorado where nobody cared and nobody helped, at lunchtime something changed. A man named Marcus Webb drove up to the ranch. He was not looking for Storm. He was looking for Richard Miller. He wanted to buy some cattle. He was a rancher too, and he knew Richard Miller from other business deals. Marcus Webb was a hard man with hard hands and a hard face. He was not the kind of man who helped animals because he felt sorry for them. He helped animals because it made money. That was the only reason he did anything. But when Marcus walked around the back of the ranch office, he saw Storm lying on the ground. He saw the blood from the rope burn. He saw how thin she was. He saw her ribs showing. He saw her eye that was not moving and not seeing. He saw a horse that had been hurt so bad that she did not even have the strength left to be scared. She was just lying there, just waiting, just hoping that maybe this time someone would be kind. Marcus stood there for a long time looking at her. His face changed. It was very small, just a little bit, but his face changed. He looked at Storm and something in him moved. Something that he thought he had killed a long time ago. Something that he thought he did not have anymore. He walked into the office and he found Richard Miller having coffee. "That horse in the back," Marcus said. "The gold one on the ground. How much?" Richard did not even look up from his coffee. "That one? She is no good. She is dangerous and she is sick, and she will never be any good to anybody. You can have her for money or I can call the truck to come get her, and you know what that means." It means the truck would take her to the place where horses that are no good go to die. Marcus thought about Storm on the cold ground. He thought about how she had not kicked him or been mean. He thought about how she was just broken and tired and waiting for help. "I will take her," Marcus said. He paid $240 for a horse that everyone had given up on. He brought his truck around to the back. He built a ramp. He walked over to Storm and he looked at her, and he said something very quiet that nobody heard. Then he helped her stand up. He helped her walk to the truck. He helped her get inside, and he drove away with her. This is where the real story starts. Marcus Webb had bought and sold 134 horses in his life. He did not remember their names. He did not remember their faces. They were animals. They were money. That was all. You bought them, or you trained them, or you sold them. You did not think about them. You did not wonder how they felt. You did not care if they were happy or sad or scared. That was not how the business worked. But when he got Storm back to his ranch, something felt different. The ranch was in the mountains about 40 miles from Richard Miller's place. It was a big property with fences and fields and barns. Marcus had lived there alone for 3 years since his wife died. He did not have family. He did not have friends who came to visit. He just had the horses and the work and the money he made from both. He pulled the truck into the yard at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was cold. The wind came down from the mountains, and it was the kind of cold that hurts your face. Snow covered the ground, but not much, just enough to make everything white and hard and empty. The sky was gray like an old blanket. The whole world looked like it did not care about anything. Marcus backed the truck up to a fence. He built a ramp. He opened the back of the truck. He looked at Storm lying in there, and he did something that was strange. He waited. He did not pull her out fast. He did not yell at her. He just waited, and he let her see that he was there. He let her understand that the truck had stopped moving. Storm lifted her head very slowly. Her eyes were still empty, but maybe a little bit less empty than before. She looked at Marcus, and then she looked at the ramp. She did not know what to do. Her body did not want to move. Every part of her hurt. Every breath was hard work. But something in her wanted to try. She pushed with her front legs. The back legs would not work right, but she pushed anyway. It took 3 minutes for her to stand up. 3 whole minutes. A healthy horse can stand up in 3 seconds, but Storm was not healthy. She was barely alive. Marcus watched her. He watched her shake. He watched her legs almost give out. He watched her take 1 step, and then another step, and then another step down the ramp. Each step looked like it might be the last step she could ever take. But she kept going. She got to the bottom of the ramp, and she stood there and she breathed very hard. Marcus did something nobody had ever seen him do before. He put his hand on the horse's neck. Not hard, not pushing, not like a man trying to control an animal. Just a hand. Just for a second. Just to say that he saw her and she did a good thing by crying. Then he walked her to a paddock. The paddock was small and safe and had water and shelter. He left her there. He did not tie her up. He did not put a rope on her. He just opened the gate, and he let her walk in, and he closed the gate behind her. She stood in the middle of the paddock, and she did not move for a long time. She just stood there like she was trying to understand if this place was real, or if it was another dream, where she would get hurt again. That night, Marcus did something that shocked him. He did not go inside his house. He sat on the fence, and he watched Storm. He watched her drink from the water trough. He watched her look at the hay he had put down. He watched her try to eat, but her mouth was too sore and too tired, so she just ate a little bit, and then she stopped. He watched her walk around the paddock one time very slowly, and then she lay down on the ground to sleep. She did not trust the ground. She lay down like she thought it might hurt her, like she thought the ground might be mean. But finally, her body just gave up, and she slept. Marcus sat on the fence all night. He did not go home. He did not go inside where it was warm. He sat there in the cold, and he watched Storm sleep, and he thought about something he had not thought about in a very long time. He thought about his own father. He thought about a man who hit him when he was young. He thought about pain that never made you understand what you did wrong because you never did anything wrong. You just got hit. That was just what happened to you. That was just life. He thought about how he had learned to hurt horses the same way his father learned to hurt him. It was a thought he did not want to have. He pushed it away. The next morning, Marcus did something completely different than anything he had ever done with a horse before. He called a doctor. Not a horse doctor. A special doctor who works with horses that have been hurt by people. Her name was Dr. Sarah Chen. She came to the ranch at 10 in the morning. She looked at Storm for 1 hour. She looked at the rope burn. She looked at all the other wounds that were hidden under the matted fur. She looked at Storm's feet. She looked at her teeth. She looked at her eyes. Then she said something that made Marcus very angry at first. This horse has been beaten, Dr. Chen said, not just once, many times, over a long time. The damage is not just on her body. The damage is in here. She pointed to her own head. In her mind. This horse thinks all humans want to hurt her. This horse does not think she will ever be safe. This will take a very long time to fix, maybe years. Maybe she cannot be fixed at all. Marcus did not like hearing that. He wanted a quick answer. He wanted to pay some money and have the horse get better. He wanted things to be simple. But Dr. Chen said something else. There is one thing that might help, she said. Not force, not training, not anything you can do by being strong. What this horse needs is for someone to be kind to her every single day. Someone has to show her that humans can be gentle. Someone has to prove to her that she is safe. Someone has to spend time with her, just to be with her, not to make her do anything, just to be with her. Marcus did not know how to do that. He paid Dr. Chen $2,000 for the visit. He bought medicine that cost $500. He bought special food that cost $100 a week. He was spending more money than the horse was worth. He was losing money every single day just by keeping her alive, but he could not sell her, he could not get rid of her. He could not explain why. For 2 weeks, Marcus took care of Storm. He cleaned her wounds, he gave her medicine, he brought her new food. He sat near her fence in the afternoons and he did nothing. He just sat there. He watched her get a little stronger every day. He watched her eye get a little bit clearer. He watched her understand slowly that maybe, just maybe, this man was different. Maybe he was not going to hurt her. Then one day something unexpected happened. Something that would change Marcus and Storm and everything that came after. A phone call came. It was Marcus's ex-wife, Linda. She said she wanted to bring their son to visit the ranch. She said it was his custody time. She said the boy needed to spend time with his father. Marcus did not want to say yes. He did not know how to be around his son. He did not know what to say. He did not know how to be kind, but he said yes. 3 days later, a car came up the driveway. A woman got out, then a small boy got out. The boy was maybe 7 years old. He had his mother's eyes. He looked scared and careful, like he was trying not to do anything that would make his father angry. Marcus did not know it yet, but this boy was about to teach him the most important thing he would ever learn in his whole life. And it would happen in a paddock with a broken horse, and a child with a kind heart. Thomas Webb was 7 years old, and he was afraid of his father. He did not know this was strange. He thought all boys were afraid of their fathers. He thought all children had fathers who spoke quietly, but made you feel like you did something wrong, even when you did not do anything. He thought all families were like his. Quiet, careful, full of things nobody talked about. His mother, Linda, had told him in the car on the way to the ranch that he should be very good. She said he should not touch anything. She said he should not ask too many questions. She said his father was a busy man, and busy men got angry if you bothered them. Thomas promised he would be perfect. He was very good at being perfect. When Marcus came out of the house that first morning, Thomas was already standing in the kitchen, wearing his boots and his jacket, even though nobody asked him to do that. He was trying to show his father that he was responsible, that he could help, that he would not be a problem. Marcus looked at his son and said one word, "Come." Thomas followed his father around the ranch. He helped with small things. He carried buckets that were not too heavy. He poured water into troughs. He did exactly what Marcus told him to do. He did not complain. He did not ask questions. He was a ghost following another ghost through the morning work. Then they came to Storm's paddock. Storm was standing at the far corner looking at the mountains. She did not hear them come. Or maybe she heard them, but she did not care. She was very far away inside her own mind. Marcus said, "Do not go near that horse. She is dangerous. She was beaten by bad people and now she does not trust anything. Do you understand me?" Thomas nodded. "Yes, sir," he said very quietly. Marcus walked away to do other work, and Thomas stood at the fence. He stood there for 1 hour. He did not move. He did not try to touch the horse. He just stood there and he watched. He watched how Storm moved, how careful she was with each step, how she looked at everything like it might hurt her, how her whole body was ready to run away at any second. Thomas understood something that Marcus did not think a 7-year-old boy could understand. He understood that the horse was scared the same way he was scared. Not the same things, but the same feeling, the feeling that people could hurt you, the feeling that you had to be ready, the feeling that the world was not safe. So Thomas did a very simple thing. He lay down on the ground. He did not move toward the horse. He did not try to touch her. He just lay down in the cold grass, and he looked at the sky, and he waited. It was very cold. His breath made little clouds in the air. His back was wet from the ground, but he stayed there. For 30 minutes, he lay there. Storm did not move at first. But after a while, something changed. The horse's ears moved. She started to pay attention to the boy lying on the ground. He was doing something no human had ever done around her. He was making himself small. He was making himself not dangerous. He was saying without words that he had no power. Storm started to walk toward Thomas, very slowly. 1 step, then another step, then another step. She did not run. She did not trust. But she was curious. She was interested in this strange boy who lay on the ground like he was broken too. She came close enough to smell him. Thomas did not move. He did not jump up. He did not try to grab her. He just lay there and let her smell him and make her own decision about what he was. Storm stood there for a long time just breathing on his face. Then she did something that made Thomas's eyes get very wet. She lay down next to him. The horse lay down on the ground next to the boy. She did not touch him. She just lay down, like she was saying yes. Like she was saying, "I understand what you are doing. I understand that you are scared too. I understand that we are the same." They lay there together in the cold for a very long time. Neither of them moved. Neither of them was scared. They were just two broken things lying next to each other and finding out that broken things do not have to be alone. Marcus came around the corner and he stopped dead. He saw his son lying on the ground next to Storm, and he understood that something had just happened that he did not know how to make happen with force or training or anything he knew how to do. He understood that kindness was a language he had never learned to speak, and he saw his son speaking it perfectly. Marcus did not know what to do. He opened his mouth to yell at Thomas to get away from the horse, but he could not do it. He could not move. He could not speak. He could only stand there and watch his son teach him something. Finally, Thomas sat up. He did not make any fast movements. He moved very slow and very gentle. Storm did not get scared. She just lifted her head and she looked at him. And then Thomas did the most important thing that anyone had ever done for Storm in her entire life. He reached out his small hand and he put it on the horse's neck. He did not pet her. He did not move his hand. He just put it there and held it still so the horse could get used to the feeling of human touch that was not mean. Touch that was not a hit. Touch that was not punishment. Touch that was just a boy saying, I see you, and you matter, and you do not have to be scared anymore. Storm closed her eyes. She closed her eyes, and she let the boy touch her, and her whole body changed. It was like someone had turned off the switch that made her ready to run. It was like someone had given her permission to stop being scared for just 1 second, just one moment, just long enough to remember what it felt like to be safe. When Thomas took his hand away, the horse opened her eyes and she looked at him. And in that look, something happened that should have been impossible. The horse forgave. She forgave the man who kicked her. She forgave Richard Miller. She forgave everyone who had hurt her. Not because what they did was okay, but because a 7-year-old boy had shown her that not all humans were dangerous. That somewhere in the world there was kindness. That broken things could be healed. Marcus watched all of this, and he felt something crack open inside his chest. It was the part that he had locked away. The part that he thought was dead. The part that had maybe always been there but had just been hiding from how mean the world was. That night, Marcus did something that surprised his son. He sat with Thomas in the living room and he asked him one question. Not many questions, just one. How did you know to do that? Marcus asked. Thomas was quiet for a very long time. Then he said, She felt like me. She was scared like me. I did not want her to be scared alone. Marcus did not know what to say. He reached out and he put his hand on his son's shoulder. It was not a big gesture. It was not perfect. But it was the first time in 7 years that Marcus had touched his son like he loved him. And Thomas, who had been waiting his whole life to know if his father could love him, finally believed that maybe, just maybe, he could. 3 weeks after Thomas arrived at the ranch, something strange happened. Marcus Webb made a decision that shocked everyone who knew him. He decided to spend a lot of money on a horse that was worthless. Marcus had thought David was crazy for 10 years, but now Marcus was calling him on the phone and asking him to come to the ranch. And David said yes, and he came the next day. David looked at Storm for a long time. He looked at her injuries. He looked at her movements. He looked at her eyes. Then he looked at Thomas sitting in the paddock with his hand on the horse's neck. Then he looked at Marcus, standing at the fence, watching his son. The sun was burning hot that Tuesday afternoon when Marcus arrived at the auction house. His truck was old, a 1998 Chevrolet with a cracked windshield and a radio that only played one station. He had borrowed $50 from his brother David to put gas in it. But when David asked why he needed the truck, Marcus had lied. He said he was going to look for a job at a ranch nearby. The truth was much sadder and much stranger. Marcus had not slept properly in 3 weeks. His brother's barn where he lived had mice, and they ran across the wooden floor at night, their tiny claws clicking like fingernails on wood. But the mice were not the reason he could not sleep. The reason was that every morning when he woke up, he felt nothing. No hope, no purpose, no reason to get out of bed. His wife Sarah had left him 2 years ago. She had said something that Marcus could never forget. You are a ghost, Marcus. You are here, but you are not alive. His job was gone too. The logistics company where he had worked for 15 years had closed their office in January. They gave him a box to pack his things and a piece of paper saying they would not give him a recommendation letter because it was a downsizing situation, nothing personal. But it felt personal. It felt like the world was telling him that he did not matter. So Marcus had started walking around town every day, watching people. He watched them in coffee shops, laughing with friends. He watched them in stores, buying things they wanted. He watched them, living lives that seemed to have meaning and purpose. And he felt nothing. He was invisible. People looked right through him, as if he was made of glass. 3 days ago, he had been sitting on a bench outside the bank, when he saw an advertisement for the auction house. The paper said they were selling animals, horses mostly. He did not know why, but something in that moment made him stand up. He took the advertisement home and read it over and over. An auction, a place where things that nobody wanted were put on display, a place where people gathered to judge and decide what had value and what did not. Marcus understood that feeling very well. Now he walked through the gates of the auction house, and immediately he felt the heat and the dust and the smell of animals. There were maybe 30 people there, mostly men in cowboy hats and boots. Some of them were talking loudly, making jokes. Some of them were examining the animals, running their hands over horses and cattle, checking their teeth and their legs. Nobody paid any attention to Marcus. He was just another face in the crowd, another invisible person. The auctioneer was a heavy man with a red face and a loud voice. He stood on a platform, hitting a small wooden hammer against a stand, calling out prices and names and details about each animal. Marcus watched as horses were brought out one by one. Some of them were beautiful and strong. These horses sold for hundreds of dollars. People nodded their heads and smiled. The auctioneer moved quickly through these animals, but as the afternoon went on, the animals became more broken. One horse was limping badly on its back left leg. The auctioneer said it had arthritis, but it could still work on a ranch. Nobody bought it for the first price, so he lowered it. Then lowered it again. Finally, a farmer bought it for $40. The horse limped away and nobody seemed sad or bothered about this. It was just business. Then an old mule came out, completely blind in one eye. A teenage boy pointed and laughed at it. His friends laughed too. The mule was sold for $20. Marcus felt something inside him begin to break. These animals had done nothing wrong. They had not chosen to become old or sick or broken. But here they were, being judged and sold to whoever would pay the least money for them. The sun was getting lower in the sky now. The auctioneer called out for the final lot. Last animal today, folks. This one is a mare, about 12 years old. Good bones, but she needs work. Needs someone who knows what they are doing. Then something happened that Marcus did not expect. The gate opened, and the horse that came out was so thin that you could count every single rib under her skin like you were counting steps on a staircase. Her coat was dirty, matted with mud and burrs. One of her ears was folded permanently, as if it had been hurt a long time ago and never healed properly. Her legs were shaking, just barely, but her eyes had something in them that made Marcus stop breathing. Her eyes were empty, not angry, not aggressive, just completely empty, as if nobody was home inside her anymore. As if she had given up on everything a long time ago. The crowd did something unexpected. They did not laugh loudly or point like they had done with the mule. Instead, they grew very quiet. Even the auctioneer seemed uncomfortable. "Okay, folks," he said slowly. "Let us start the bidding. I will open this at $50. Nobody raised their hand. "Okay, $30 then." Still nothing. The crowd was staring at the horse, and the horse was staring at nothing at all. After the funeral, Thomas had to decide what to do with the ranch. He could sell it. He could rent it to another rancher. He could do a lot of things. But he knew what he had to do. He had to take care of Storm. Storm was very old by then. She was maybe 35 years old. In horse years, that is almost impossible. Most horses do not live that long. But Storm lived. She lived because she had been loved. She lived because she had learned that the world had good people in it. Thomas moved to the ranch. He left his job in Denver. He left his apartment. He left his comfortable life. And he moved to his father's ranch. And he took care of the horse that had changed everything. Every morning, he would go to the paddock, and he would feed Storm. Every afternoon, he would spend time with her. Every night, he would sit on the fence, and he would think about his father, and about all the things that had happened. Years went by. Thomas got married. His wife was a kind woman named Sarah. She understood about the horse. She understood why this one animal mattered so much. She would come out to the paddock and she would sit next to her husband, and they would watch Storm together. Thomas and Sarah had 2 children, a boy and a girl. When the boy was 7 years old, the same age Thomas had been when he first came to the ranch, Thomas brought him to the paddock. He told him the story. He told him about the horse that had been hurt. He told him about the man who had learned to be kind. He told him about how one boy and one horse had changed each other's lives forever. The boy listened to every word. Then he asked, "Can I touch her?" Thomas said, "You can try, but you have to be very gentle. You have to understand that she is scared. You have to show her that you are kind." The boy walked to the horse very slowly. Storm was so old now that she could barely stand, but she turned her head to look at the boy. And the boy did the same thing his father had done when he was 7 years old. He lay down on the ground. Storm did not lie down with him. She was too old to lie down, but she stood there and she let the boy touch her. She let him put his small hand on her neck, and in that moment, 3 generations were connected. The grandfather who had learned to be kind, the father who had been saved by kindness, the grandson who was learning that kindness is the most powerful thing in the world. When Thomas was 42 years old, Storm died. It happened on a morning in June. The sky was the most beautiful blue, the sun was warm, the mountains were clear in the distance. Storm was standing in her favorite spot in the paddock, looking at the mountains the way she always did. Thomas went out to feed her, and she was lying on the ground. She was not sick. She was not hurt. She was just done. She had lived a long life. She had been loved. She had taught everyone around her how to love. And now it was time to rest. Thomas sat next to her in the grass. He put his hand on her neck the way he had done when he was a boy. And he sat there for a very long time. He did not cry. He was too old for crying. But he was grateful. He was grateful for everything that horse had given him. That night, Thomas did something he had never done before. He wrote down the whole story. He wrote about the day Storm fell and nobody helped. He wrote about his father buying her for $240. He wrote about lying on the ground next to a scared horse. He wrote about his father learning to be kind. He wrote about everything. He finished writing at midnight. He looked at what he had written, and he knew he had to share it with the world. He typed it on the internet. He posted it on social media. He sent it to news stations. He shared the story of the horse and the boy and the man who had changed. And something unexpected happened. The story spread everywhere. Millions of people read it. Millions of people cried. Millions of people shared it. Teachers read it to their classes. Therapists shared it with their patients. People talked about it at dinner tables. And slowly, something started to change in the world. People started to think about kindness differently. Parents started to be softer with their children. Ranchers started to treat horses better. People who had been hurt started to believe they could heal. People who had been angry started to think about forgiveness, all because of one horse and one boy and one man who learned to change. Years passed. Thomas became more famous. He became a speaker. He traveled around the world, telling the story of Storm. He wrote a book. He made a movie. He changed thousands of lives just by telling people what happened on a ranch in Colorado. But he never forgot where it started. Every year on the anniversary of the day his father died, Thomas would go to the spot where Storm's stone was buried. He would sit there and he would remember. He would remember the scared horse. He would remember the scared boy. He would remember the hard man who had learned to be soft. One day, a young girl came to the ranch to visit Thomas. She was in foster care. She had been hurt by her family. She did not believe that people could be kind. She did not believe that anyone could love her. Thomas brought her to the paddock where Storm's stone was. He told her the story. When he finished, the girl asked one question. "Will I be okay?" she asked, "like the horse?" Thomas sat down next to her. "Yes," he said, "you will be okay. Because you know the story now. You know that healing is possible. You know that kindness is real. You know that one person can change your whole life." The girl looked at the stone and she cried. She cried for everything that had been done to her. She cried for all the pain. She cried for all the fear. But then she stopped crying and she was quiet. "Thank you," she said very quietly, "for telling me. Thank you for showing me that people can change. Thank you for showing me that horses can save people." Thomas smiled. "Storm did not just save me and my father," he said. "She is still saving people. Every person I tell this story to, every person who reads it, every person who learns that kindness is more powerful than force, Storm is still saving them." And that was the real ending. Not death, not sadness, but a legacy of kindness that would never end. A horse that had been thrown away and forgotten became the most important teacher in thousands of people's lives. A man who had been broken learned to be whole. A boy who was scared became a healer. And the world, little by little, became a kinder place, all because one horse fell on a Tuesday morning and someone finally stopped and helped.